Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. We've been having several conversations across different things happening in the country. Of course, the cash crunch has been on the top of the burner. With just yesterday, we had the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele ask and give the voice to the fact that old 1,500 and 200 Naira notes can continue to be used concurrently with the new redesigned notes until the 31st of December 2023 as earlier adjudged by the appeal court. Now, several conversations we need to have this morning. How has the cash crunch been affecting small, medium businesses and enterprises? To have this conversation with us this morning is Harry Udo, who himself is the chairman of Civil Society Organization Forum here in Akwa Ibom State, of course, a nationwide renowned speaker. Very good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, yeah. Thank you, Janice, for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. But it doesn't look as if the cash crunch is having a toll on you.
Nothing at all.
Well, this is CARICOM.
Something a lot of people are having to explain at this time.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, so that was just on a lighter note now. Thank you for giving us some good laughs this morning. But we are looking at the cash crunch. We're looking at small, medium enterprises in Nigeria, which is more like the foothold of our economy. How do you think this is affecting us generally?
Well, first of all, let me put the concept, to just put it properly, micro, small, and medium enterprises. But when you look at it, the micro and small enterprises constitute about 84%, of employment in the country. So way back about 2000. So the World Bank carried out a survey in Nigeria that showed that what happened in the times that IBB was saying he doesn't understand why the economy is still standing was actually because of the vibrancy of the micro and small enterprise sector. All right, so they form a formidable part, like the word Janice used, the foothold, of the Nigerian economy, ensuring employment, poverty reduction, women empowerment, local economic growth, because they are based in local areas, providing goods and services, contributing to the GDP of state and country. So they play a very critical role. Within this period of the cash crunch, that's the sector that has been most hit by the cash crunch. Because most of the transactions at that level is such that it can be done by transfer. Some of these persons, especially when you get down to the bottom of the pyramid of these MSEs, the women at the market, some of them, like I heard on radio this morning, one of them saying, I don't even have a phone, so how do I do a transfer? So that has affected the economy. That's the reason why things are a little bit more expensive. That's the reason why there's so much misery in the country right now. There's pervading lack and want, because that sector is not functioning as it should. And so the cash crunch has had a negative effect, and it's so disappointing because when you look at, and that we in this studio probably before you were born, by that I mean but before you came in here, we've discussed this issue here before, where we talked about the policy flip-flop of government having adverse effects on the economy, on the social fabric of the nation. So you just look at this situation now where the central bank came up with this monetary policy saying, hey, we need to take, there's too much cash in circulation. That's the reason why we've been having our inflation rates. We can't track it. At some point, we had the highest in about 50 years in this country, or 30 years in this country, highest inflation rate at 21 point something %. That's incredible. Most nations would collapse with that kind of inflation, and they've not been able to track it down and to bring it down. And so, because of Nigeria itself, and so they felt, and it's a good policy to say, look, too much cash in circulation. We discussed it here, Janice and I, will lead to inflation, will lead to high cost of things, and of course would lead to poverty and misery as well. So it became necessary to do that. So to take off, some of the money in circulation, reduce the take back of that money, and seek to run a cashless economy. It was a good policy, but it was rushed because they didn't factor how to handle the micro and small entrepreneurs, especially the ones that are really under the pyramid in the rural communities where they've been largely unbanked and they don't have the facilities to operate a cashless policy. And one would have expected that at that point there would have been some instruments that is other than the paper money that would enable these people to be able to do their businesses. So the policy has increased the poverty level. If it was 133 million Nigerians, probably right now we're looking at close to 170 million Nigerians below the poverty line, just because of the whim and caprice of some persons.
That's a statistics upgrade we haven't even considered. The fact that before this time there were 133 million. Now that people do not have access to money. I mean, you're talking about people who could just easily go do small businesses and be paid in a day to be able to cater for their needs, and they're not able. People that would usually sell now, take that money, buy again, sell tomorrow. Those are people that, like you said, the people at the base of the pyramid itself, and they've been really affected. Absolutely. Now, when we compare that to the overall good of the policy, how do you think we are going to be able to stretch back to, put people back on their feet after all of this is said and done?
You know that we were still struggling with the after effect of COVID-19. All right. COVID-19, contributed to that 133 million of Nigerians living below the poverty line. And that there had been there has been no concerted effort by government, to ameliorate the adverse effect of COVID-19. So that was in itself keeping the people down. Then you find that this cashless policy came in, and the cash crunch set in, and has led to that. It's going to take a while. One of the things that the government could do immediately, and I think it just makes sense, all right, to ensure that the new notes are available, all right. Devise a means very quickly, working with the deposit financial institutions, all right, the commercial banks, to get into the rural areas, to bank, to get the people into the banking loop, all right, by some kind of informal, because I've been to several parts, of Europe, and I've seen banks that are like just the table and a chair, but it's a bank where you can transact business. All right. Of course, there's the issue of holding large cash. So the basic 100 euro, 200 euro you can get. If it's beyond that, you have to move up to someone. So it helps everyone, to be in the banking loop. That is what we've not achieved. There's a lot of unbanked businesses and persons out there, which I believe that what the government can do, what they started to do with the issues of community banking, seem to have collapsed along the way. Look at the number of persons that became POS operators, that were totally just yanked off of business, by that policy. So it would take concerted effort, push money back, the new currency back in circulation, get some way of getting people to transact without cash, all right. And I can tell you one of the ingenious ways that these women did that I found out, because I was quite interested in this and I tried to find, those women in the villages who sell vegetables, all right, pepper, mong kong, stuff like that. You know, what they did was, don't give me transfer, just take the thing. When you sell it, bring the money back.
Oh, wow.
But these guys here couldn't also get the money on time. What they could get would be by transfers. And so trying to get the cash back so that they can go give these women and get another stock became the issue.
There's a trap in the system.
Yes, that trap was there. So we need to find a way of, because I think the cashless policy is good for the nation. It will shore up the credit possibility for Nigerians. You know, for instance, if you want to set up, say in America, all you need is your credit card, and the details may not really have money in there, but they will give you, you need furniture for your office, they will give you, and all of that. So you pay, you know, is amortized over a period. You know, we need to be able to get that kind of thing going for Nigeria to enable, you know, people realize their Nigerian dream. And so when you have too much money in circulation, it can undermine, you know, your economy. And even the issue of terrorism financing, it becomes quite easy, you know, to finance terrorism, to finance, you know, all kinds of problems happening within the nation.
But Mr. Udo, I think some Nigerians will also say that, you know, the issue of the cash policy has been forfeited because when you talk about even what they said in terms of election rigging, in terms of terrorism financing, this thing still happen, and it's even having more adverse effects on the economy and Nigerians than what, you know, the central bank had proposed in the first instance. But let's also look at, I like the fact that you even brought in the COVID-19, which a lot of businesses in Nigeria have not even sprung up properly because of the adverse effect of the COVID on economies. And then we are having to face the cash crunch again. So one question that Nigerians have asked us this morning and has asked generally is, will even the monies be made available? So we are having a central bank saying that, yes, go ahead, disburse monies, collect the old notes, but are the monies readily available for Nigerians to access? So how long do you think it will take us, you know, as small, medium enterprises to rebound back into business?
Yeah, it's as so long as our policy framework remains within the level where it is, where it goes back and forth, it's going to be a tough one. You see, because this morning, as I was coming, as people already at the bank premises, you know, crowds, you know, as I saw. But you know, the CBN says they can take the old notes and also pay in the old notes, and banks could receive the old notes. But what people should know is that they have not taken away the withdrawal limits.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
So we need to readjust our mindset and adjust how we, you know, provide, how we transact business going forward, because it has come to stay. So I think it's going to take a while. The CBN, working with the Bankers Committee, needs to immediately, like I said earlier, deploy mechanisms that ensures that the people in the rural communities, micro and small entrepreneurs, especially those that are outside of the banking frame, should be brought in, and with such instruments that enables them to easily transact their businesses. All right. So if that is done as quickly as possible, I think that because you see the leeway is only until December. All right. Ordinarily, okay, that should be the process over a period of time. But it seemed like, as it was targeting, you know, vote buying. But of course, they didn't take into consideration that those who have amassed dollars, and they were using dollars to buy votes, and there were transfers. I'm surprised that the EFCC, I was at a forum the other day, and I said the EFCC did nothing. They went about harassing innocent persons. Those who are doing the transfers are doing, why don't you go to the banks and begin to trace? Because when you do transfers, there's a footprint. You can trace it. You know, I was at the FATF office sometime last year, 2 years ago, and the man just said, look at that screen, and I said, you see the tick going? That's money moving. You know, and Nigerians will wire money to Australia, bring it, take it to Peru, bring it to Gambia, and then move it to Europe so that you can trace. But they don't know that there's a trace and all of that. So where all those monies are, they know. You know, but the challenge for Nigeria is that there has been no consequence mechanism.
Exactly.
And that's the reason why you find people doing that. So if the government said, okay, we want to frustrate vote buying, then they should have been able to look at the other alternative, that there are those with dollars. Because remember, at some point, Nigerians began to transact, especially those elites, those in government offices, transact with dollars.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the reason why the dollar rate went up. And the people were buying dollars. It didn't start today. People have been buying dollars to stock, you know. And so they should have been able to look at that end as well to be able to block that. So the problem, as I said earlier, is the fact that we have not been stable in the policies that we put out. All right. And that's the reason why it might take a while for micro and small enterprises to recover.
Okay.
Because they are the ones who've had the full brunt of the effect of the cash crunch.
Okay, let's say that, let's say that, you know, the CBN did not come out with this directive yesterday night that, you know, we should begin to, you know, take back the old notes now. What do you think would have been the survival mechanism for, you know, small and medium enterprises in the country?
And I think just to add there, so that you can take it in one breath, what you know, structures do you think the small, medium businesses can put in place to go forward? Because like you rightly said, that this directive has been given doesn't change the fact that it's still going to linger, especially because there's cash limitation, how much we can withdraw. So how do you think they can position themselves to thrive and, you know, not be totally knocked off the pyramid at this time?
Okay, so starting with Janice's question, assuming that the CBN didn't ask that the banks could now pay out old notes and receive old notes, what would have been the situation? Two things. One of the things that we would have asked, would have been for, and it does make sense that they should realize that by now, to have, because even the 10, 20, 20,000. People are finding it to withdraw from the banks or from the ATMs. And so the new currency should have been made available. That would have been one. The other one is what I've been repeating here. I would have thought that, I would have suggested, and that brings me to your question, that this should be the coming together of the micro and small entrepreneurs.
Like mergers?
Not really mergers, but forging a common front to say, look, I trade in this, I trade in that, some level of barter, you know, that used to happen. And I told you, it already started happening where the women in the communities are saying, okay, take the vegetables out, you know, when you get the money, bring it back. All right. And those people in the rural communities, part of their sustenance is the farming that they do, you know, at that subsistence level, you know. So it's just a few things that they would need. So you will find that there could be exchanges going on around there, and so we can take that up a notch to say, okay, this is the clearinghouse. You have this, you have this, you have this. You bring it, and then clearly the one who is organizing, say maybe the chair or something, can now decide to have accounts for this person. So next time you come, you know, you had brought in goods worth 10,000 naira, all right, and you need some other goods worth 5,000 naira. Somebody's taking note of that and transacting, so you get that, and you have your balance of 5,000 naira. You've taken Gary what 5,000 naira. You had sold vegetables worth 10,000 naira. You don't have the cash, but you need Gary, so you can get it. You need pepper, so you can get it. This other person needs other thing. You know, that kind of stuff might look esoteric, but that's something that I think that's a business you know,
idea
for you know, micro bankers to
more
look
like
at.
a cooperative barter
System. Beautiful. So that's what we envisage would happen, and I think that you might see it springing up quite soon.
Okay.
And then, of course, the other is to come up with, like I said, a mechanism that ensures that, because there are a lot of unbanked people.
Yes.
All right. To ensure that.
I think we had a call from Bayelsa. There's a particular local government there, Brass, that does not have a banking system or
And
facility.
Brass is like 3 hours on water. And I mean, when I mean water, the water where you see the wave that is higher than, so that's it. All right. And so for that community, how would they transact? So it will become the issue of, I owe you this, you owe me that, and we have our records, and then as things pan out, we settle it, within ourselves.
Okay.
We pay ourselves out and pay ourselves back as the case may be. But I think that that's why I said earlier the CBN rushed that policy, because the first thing would have been to get into the communities and to put those structures in place that ensures that these people's businesses, and look at a good policy, putting a lot of people out of employment.
Well, we do not even have public sectors, that are interested in interpreting policies that would, meet the need of the people. It's just, done there, up there, without,
Yeah, because you find that, and that's the worry for us that are interested in policies of government, making advocacies of policies, and sometimes you find that a policy is thrown up out of the whim and caprice of the person who is in the position and has the opportunity to put out such policies, right? And so what you now get, it's a policy that is not well thought out.
Yeah.
Where the policy is well thought out, implementation becomes the issue. And I tell you, we have some fine policies in this country, but at the implementation stage, it gets truncated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's just where we have to put a pause on all our conversations this morning. But we want to say a very big thank you to you, Harry Udo, Chairman, Civil Society Organizations Forum, Akwa Ibom State Chapter. Thank you so much for your time. But just before we leave, just in now, Supreme Court sets to give judgment between Honorable Michael A. Young Babantan versus Pastor Umar Basi in tomorrow, which is the 15th of March 2023. So fingers crossed in Akwa Ibom State for that particular judgment. But we'll leave it at that, and we'll draw the curtains on today's show. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. We'll see you again tomorrow, Wednesday, for another edition of Rise and Shine. Do stay with us. Nope, not do stay with us now. Thanks for staying with us.
Thanks for staying with us. Enjoy the rest of our programming. And this is just how we're saying bye-bye today.